The hardest part about running your own small business has to be, hands down, dealing with your finances. I've been a full-time wedding photographer now for over 5 years, and running that business and keeping up with my finances is honestly been the hardest part. So let's talk about the tools that I use in my business to help me with my finances and taxes and making sure everything is running correctly. Now, one thing I have to air out real quick is every time I make one of these videos, everyone loves to leave comments acting like I'm just trying to sell stuff, and it's the most annoying thing. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies I'm going to mention. I personally use all these tools and have been using them for about a year or more, depending on the different service. While I am not sponsored, I do have affiliate codes in the description below, which does help out the channel, but like, please stop with oh, he's just selling stuff. These are actual tools that I personally use in my small business. And the first one is the most important, which is my bank account. So I opened up my business bank account with Novo. They're a fintech company, so technically they're not a bank, but it's where I house all my money and it's where all my income comes into, and then I divvy it out to other spots of my business. I've been using Novo now for about 5 years. I think it was in 2020 that I started using them, and I really love everything about their services. Obviously, first and foremost, it is a great business banking account. Again, I've been on them for 5 years now, and I haven't had any troubles. I would say one of the only downsides there is because it's a digital bank, there's nowhere where you can deposit cash. So if you're a cash heavy business, this is probably not the bank that you want to go with. Me, however, I do most everything digitally, so this works out perfectly for me. Platform looks great and the UI is easy to use, and that's honestly extremely important to me. And I've never had an issue with their customer service if I needed to get in touch with them, which is honestly extremely rare. On top of using it like a normal bank account too, the thing I use the most often are the invoices. Novo has a built-in invoicing system that I use to send out invoices to different sponsors and companies that I work with, and it has absolutely been amazing to use. It's pretty straightforward, there's nothing special about it, but I just like being able to use it right there inside of my bank account, because that means when payments come through to me, they go right into the bank account. Another cool thing as well is if you're using Stripe like I do, they actually will front you the money from Stripe before it actually transfers out. So right now, the way it's set up is my Stripe will send me my money every week on Friday. However, because Novo's fronting that money, they'll actually send it to me on Wednesday. And then when the actual transaction happens from Stripe, they just divvy that out because they've already given it to me. So it's quite nice. If I have a bunch of payments come in for like courses or invoices and they were all paid through Stripe, I'll get that money midweek rather than having to wait for the whole week. So that and the invoices are probably the two hands down features that I like the most about Novo Bank. But there is one more thing that I like, and they have Novo Funding. This is basically a business line of credit. They'll set the terms with you of how much it will cost, and I can draw from it anytime that I need. I have access to this line of credit at all times, so when I need it for something, I can just pull how much I want to based on the limit I have. And then I have, I think, 6 months to pay it back. So I generally don't use this too often, but I have used it before, and it is an amazing process. Basically, I just pull the money, it goes right into the account, and then I can make payments back, or I can just wait for the actual payment. A lot of times I'm making the actual payments and then paying extra just so I'm not eating up so much interest. So having a nice line of credit as well built into this system is super helpful. So again, this is who I've been using for my banking. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. Again, just a recommendation. There's a lot of business banks out there, but I have been a fan of Novo, and you should definitely check them out. Now, the second platform that I use to help me manage my money is YNAB. YNAB stands for You Need a Budget. And if you've not used YNAB either for your personal or your business accounts, I would highly recommend it. Being able to see your money, see what's happening with your money, and also divvy out everything into buckets is extremely helpful. And I did make a video about this in the past, which I'll link up above and in the description below. But pretty much this is how I handle all of my own personal accounting and being able to see the money and what's happening with it in my business. YNAB is basically for budgeting, but what I like most about it is that you can divvy out everything into buckets so you can separate your money. One thing that's always never worked out for me is looking at my bank account and just seeing a large number sitting in there. So let's say I had like $3,000 to $5,000 in my bank account. I don't know what to do with that. It's just like it's a lot. Maybe some of it's going to one thing and something's going to another, but I can't tell that when I look at the bank account, right? It's just like, here's $5,000. What are you going to do? And I was never a fan of that. So in YNAB, I'm actually able to break down everything into different line items and kind of save my money in these buckets. Or you can think of it like a digital envelope system. And this way, I have a better idea of what's actually happening with my money or what I would like to do with it. So for example, if you've been following me on Thread or just here on YouTube for a while, you know that I went from a period of having no weddings booked to now having 5 or 6 left for 2025 and also another 11 to 12-ish for 2026. And with that comes having to pay a lot of second photographers. So instead of waiting to the last moment and then paying them and then being broke because of it, I actually made a bucket for any of my contractors that I'm paying. And over the time, I'm constantly saving into that. Once I have to start paying my second photographers, I'm already going to have that money divvied out and I know exactly how much is dedicated just for the second photographers. And you can do this for all kinds of things. You can do it for your second photographers. You can do it for gear purchases. So you're not just throwing everything on a credit card. You can do it for your tax money and just set that aside. I absolutely love being able to see everything like this in YNAB in the buckets so that I know what I'm doing with my money. And aside from the buckets, they have all these different views so you can see how much money you're spending, how much money you're saving, what your net worth of everything that's in YNAB is. It's really awesome. I highly recommend it. I've been using YNAB, honestly, that's also been about 5 years, I think. And I've just been a huge fan of it. I like to see what's happening with my money. I'm not a big fan of just spending stuff all over the place. I use it for my business and my personal finances, and it's quite nice because you can go in and be like, how did this year look? How much money did I spend on certain items? And realize you spent too much money on food for the whole year and then know exactly where you need to cut back. So if you haven't checked out YNAB, check out that video that I made about it and definitely start using this stuff in your business. Again, the main reason I wanted to make this video was to help you all out because these are tools I personally use. Again, everyone wants to sit here and say I'm selling stuff, but I'm not sponsored by them. Like I use this stuff. I pay for these services. I use them personally. They are great for my business. And as someone who's been doing it for 11 years now and over 5 years self-employed, because 11 years, I had a day job at one point. But now I'm just full-time photographer. Like, trust me, you're going to want to get this stuff down because if not, you're going to be paying too much in taxes. You're not going to know where your money's going. You're going to be broke all the time. And then at that point, what's the point of being a small business owner, right? You may as well just work for someone else because you're over here struggling with your money and you're not even really making it. You're just like turning your wheels. So definitely check out some of these tools. The last tool is something that I started using recently and I've been a huge fan of it. I didn't want to talk about it too much on the channel because I haven't used it long enough to really see the results, but I've been very happy with what's happening with it so far, and that is Collective. Collective is a service that will actually help your LLC move over to an S Corp election. And this will change how you're taxed and how you manage your money. I have never been able to do this stuff on my own. Honestly, to be real with you all, I kind of suck at the business side of things. So being able to have a service that helped me move from just a normal LLC slash sole proprietor to an S Corp has been extremely helpful. Now, moving over to S Corp means I actually finally pay myself. So I'm a W-2 employee again. I have not been that for a long time. Now, again, I'm no tax professional, but the biggest thing this is changing is how I'm being taxed and how the money flows between me and my business. When you're a sole proprietor, keep in mind you're getting hit with a lot of taxes. And by being an S Corp, you're able to mitigate some of those taxes so you're not basically paying double tax, if lack of a better term. Pretty much from my understanding, when you're a sole proprietor, you're getting taxed on the money and you're getting taxed as like a small business owner. So it's like double tax for being self-employed and it kind of sucks. Whereas if you're an S Corp, now the business is a fully separate entity and then you are an employee of that business. So you're like under the business. So now I get normal checks And in those checks, I have taxes coming out every time. And then the business also has its own thing. But the coolest thing about being an S Corp is the fact that the money from your business can be pulled as a distribution, which doesn't count as income. And again, go look it up on YouTube because I'm probably not explaining this the best. But once you see a couple of other videos about being an S Corp, you can be like, word? Basically, to make it a short story, if you're S Corp, generally you end up paying less in taxes. So if you're getting hit over the head by taxes like I have been the last 3 years, paying over like 30 to 50,000 just on your taxes, I would highly recommend looking into Collective and switching to an S Corp. But again, I'm not a tax professional. So far, I've been on Collective for about 8 months, and everything has been really awesome. Their communication is fast, everything makes sense. The platform is really awesome and easy to use, and they help me make my quarterly tax payments as well, which was something I was not doing as a sole proprietor. I would just pay my taxes at the end of the year, and then I would also get a penalty because I hadn't paid my taxes all year. Again, Collective has helped me out with so many things that I need to be doing to make the business move smoother and also not pay as much in taxes. Since using them for these last 8 months, I can personally tell you that I have a lot more money saved for taxes, which usually is not the case every single year. And what's nice is I've already been paying my quarterly taxes and I still have mad money in the bank for taxes. So basically, I think after the year, once I've paid all the taxes, if I have stuff left over, I'm just going to take that stuff as a distribution, which is going to be awesome. It'll almost feel like a bonus, honestly. Also, on top of that, I feel like I'm making a lot more money. Like my business is not struggling so much on its income. And I don't know why that is, but it has been that way. I feel pretty confident. Also, getting paid is really awesome because I started my own actual payroll, and I've been pretty much paying myself every week rather than doing bi-weekly. Like I can decide that because I'm the boss and also the employee. So I do weekly checks. They're smaller checks, but it's nice having that money constantly roll in. So again, I've liked Collective a lot. I have links for that in the description below if you want to check it out. Not sponsored at all, but I've been happy with it. And if you're a small business owner who is starting to actually make income of 30 to 50K and you're not trying to get hit over the head with taxes, I would highly recommend checking them out. I have had a great experience with them. With these 3 tools, I'm able to easily track my money, see what's happening with it, bucket it out for anything I need, and know that I have good tax help and any other type of tax stuff I need to do, because Collective also will help you do your taxes as well. I would highly recommend checking out any of these services, and also if there's other services that you all use, leave them in the comments below. Again, these videos are to help everyone out. They're not to sell anything. We need these tools to run our businesses. So let me know what you all use and what you love for suggestions for everyone else. If you're a new wedding photographer, this stuff is going to help you out, as well as some of these videos here, which will give you some great wedding photography education. And I will catch you all next time.